Hey everyone, and welcome back. I presented the last 5 Minute Friday last week, and I am here again to talk to you about 10 things to look for in a managed service provider. Really excited to do that, so let's dive in. First of all, availability. You don't necessarily work 24 hours a day, but your critical systems often do. And so it's important to know that we will be available as a managed service provider to suit your needs whenever they are, even if you're not necessarily in the office. So, really understanding that 24/7, 365 mentality and what your managed service provider does during those hours is going to be critical. Another one is, of course, fast service and response time. When moving away from your standard IT staff or department or even another managed service provider, one of the biggest things people look for is fast response times and fast service and tickets closing on time, equipment getting delivered on time. Of course, you don't want a vendor or a partner to hold up your business processes. So that is going to be huge. It's really critical that within that fast service and response time that the work is quality as well. Another big item that is something that I really enjoy working with customers on is actually annual IT budget planning and forecasting. A really good managed service provider is not going to just look at what your day-to-day is like, but what your day-to-day could be. What are your biggest upcoming challenges? What kind of equipment do you need refreshed in your environment? Maybe you're looking at a growth in personnel. What does that staff need look like? Do we need a bunch more laptops, desktops? Maybe you need more server resources. So, really looking at what money you have available to work with and what we can get done for you as an organization within that time period is going to be huge. And planning doesn't start right as the need is, but it should be starting a year or more before that so that everyone is ready and that there's a budget and that it's not a rush delivery cycle. So really the standout managed service providers are going to be providing that service to you. Another big one is disaster recovery planning. So this is number 4 on the list, and that's huge. Maybe, no one likes to think about these things, but maybe it's as little and simple as there was a major power outage and you're going to be down for a few days. What does that look like? How can we keep your business afloat? And even at the higher level, having the ability to keep data in multiple places, what we call geolocation, and maybe even as high level as quick as possible, instant VM recovery using other tools so your virtual machines, your servers are up and running as soon as possible, even in the worst case, because it doesn't matter what happens. It's important to keep your business running. That's the lifeblood, and we're here to help you with that. Number 5, third-party vendor partnerships. I like to say that a good managed service provider goes to bat for you. They're the lawyer. We are the advocate of all vendor relationships that have to pertain to IT, and so having a good repertoire with a variety of local vendors as well as national vendors that can help suit your needs, as well as establishing a good partnership and workflow between your existing vendor relations is huge, because that's how we make sure that that fast service and response time item, number 2, gets delivered on every time, because it's not always going to be in just your managed service provider's wheelhouse. Sometimes they're going to have to reach out to third-party vendors and make sure that you're taken care of. And that's a little bit of the icing on the cake that makes your day-to-day go smoother. Another one, number 6, local on-site maintenance and support. That's big. Make sure that if you have an on-site need, and really evaluate what that looks like, how many hours, how many people, that that your managed service provider is able to meet that. Just because they are a managed service provider does not mean everything has to be remote, that everything has to go through a call center. One of the nicest things about interfacing with a well-suited for you managed service provider is you get a full swath of IT services, and that does include on-site time, because the human element is critical, and a lot of things can be knocked out in person so much faster than they can be remotely. So that's important, and definitely advocate for that if that's a need. Kind of in line with disaster recovery planning is the next item: daily backups and cloud services. So backups are critical, and backups are only as good as their ability to be restored upon. So look for a managed service provider that not only provides daily backups in the level of increments that you need, but also has a demonstrated track record of testing and auditing and quality control on those backups. That's huge. And it's important for those backups to be through vendors that are trusted, that you feel comfortable with, and that your managed service provider can really provide education on the best backup solution for your business, as well as really take into account what your needs are, how quickly you would need to have something restored, and what the size of that data really is. Moving along is security testing and monitoring. And this one is, kind of overlooked until it's a gotcha. So making sure that you're protected from the very baseline of antivirus and a good firewall solution to the higher level of evaluating your vulnerability through phishing and spoofing attacks, as well as making sure that your network is secure in the ways that you need without major performance hits, as well as making sure your password compliance is up to date, making sure you're within your own security protocols and policies, and helping develop a culture of enforcement of good security, mindfulness, and education on how to avoid being a target of those attacks. So that's a huge one that is really, you want as much front loaded into the security as possible so that it doesn't become a problem later. And number 9 is employee support. So, we don't want technology to be a barrier. As IT service providers, we don't want you to be frustrated with your technology. That's not where the real magic happens. So look for a managed service provider that has technicians and employees and sales team that is educated in the product and is willing to take the time to truly educate you on the benefits, all the way down to having help desk technicians that they'll spend the extra 20 minutes on the phone to show you how to do things. And to me, that's magic, because we shouldn't be knowledge hoarders as managed service providers. We should be educators so that you can really be empowered through your technology. And lastly is number 10, the often overlooked proactive maintenance. So with that, making sure that your patching is up to date, make sure that your critical systems are protected by antivirus, but also, looking at end of life cycle support, other proactive measures, where your warranty renewal is coming up, keeping an eye to the future at all times, and making sure that systems are trued up and healthy in the way that they need to be is just critical. And so really what I want to come to in conclusion is, there could be a list of 10 different things, 20 different things. At the end of the day, your managed service provider is your partner in information technology, from the baseline of the user with the Outlook problem to the forecasting of what kind of infrastructure you're going to need in the next 5 years. And whatever managed service provider you go with, make sure that you're able to have that partnership and that relationship, because that's going to be the critical key to success. Thanks again for joining me for 5-Minute Fridays. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.